welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Molly,
I'm Michael.
and we hope you all had a great Memorial Day weekend as we're nearing the end of that weekend right now. And just wanted to chat about all things that happened this past week, which there were some major events, in particular, Survivor finale that happened. So we've got a lot to talk about with that, as well as my feelings on the GOAT, and also in Summer House news, all the stuff that went down with the fighting, and we'll just go through all that today. So, first, let's start out with our competition chat with Survivor. So, Michael, what are your thoughts overall on the finale first before we get into more of the specifics?
I thought it was a really good finale. There was a lot of controversy to discuss. I feel like the viewers are divided and just passionate in a way about some of the events that happen on this finale in a way that I haven't seen in quite a while. So, or usually kind of reserved for Big Brother, I would say. So, there's a lot for us to get into there with some blindsides and betrayals, and yeah, I'll wait to talk more about that until we get into it further, but
Yeah,
I enjoyed it overall. What
yeah,
about you?
good teaser about what happened. But yeah, so first in the beginning of the episode, we saw in in the immunity challenge that Liz helped Kenzie in the winning of that challenge. Basically, like she just got her playing for her, was kind of sacrificing herself just to help Kenzie. So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that players should be allowed to help each other in regards to like trying to get someone else not to win and trying to get someone else to win that overall prize, the overall immunity that week?
Yeah, so they did this in an effort to make sure Maria didn't win.
Yeah.
And that was something that I, I haven't seen that in a long, long time. Like I kind of just remember it happening like maybe once or twice in the past. We've seen people like obviously throw team challenges before, but during an individual challenge, I don't know that to this extent we have seen somebody or like everybody kind of come together in an effort for one person not to win.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. If that is something that the producers don't have an issue with, go for it. I say that is fully fair game, part of your strategy to do that. Now, I think the big question is whether producers should let it happen. And this is something that we talk about on the challenge sometimes because on eliminations, everybody else is watching. And a lot of times it happens where they'll help one person, especially if it's a puzzle or something, they'll say, oh, move this piece here. But and that's always very controversial because it's like, is that really fair? Certain challenges are more easily able to make the determination whether somebody wins or not based on if they're helped. So I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on it. I think that maybe they should kind of make the challenges with that in mind in a way that maybe makes it a little bit harder for people to help each other out. But I don't know. It can lead to interesting things happening, and it can also lead to things being very predictable and boring. So I'm kind of torn on it. I feel like I maybe need to see whether this is something that starts to happen more often, because then I think it might get to a point where we're like, okay, let's kind of cut this off. But for now, I'm a little divided.
Yeah, and also I feel like in this specific example, like I actually was also rooting for Kenzie to win that. Like I wanted Maria to get out that episode. So like that feeling of it, like I didn't really mind it, and that feeling of like, oh, like, well, I want Maria out too. So let's do this. Let's get Kenzie to win this. So since Maria has been winning a lot of the community challenges, so she was a really big threat, and thought that everyone thought if they went to the final with her that she would win it. So obviously in that strategic of a play, like it was impactful, and obviously we did see that help out to help. Then Kenzie was the winner in the end. But oh, sorry, spoiler alert. But in that sense, that if Kenzie hadn't won that immunity, that would have changed things a lot in the game.
Yeah, but if it happened, where somebody who was an underdog that the viewers really liked and wanted to win that so that the vote wasn't so predictable later on, then if everybody is against that person and they do a strategy like this to make sure that that person doesn't win, we'd all be up in arms about it.
Yeah.
So I think that it's one of those things where it happened to work out this time in a way that didn't ruin the episode or make viewers too upset. But I think that it really does have the potential to do that at some point, and that will be when I think viewers are really going to be passionate about making sure that doesn't keep happening. But
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to see if it ever becomes a problem. But for now, it doesn't seem like it's as big of a deal as maybe some like one maybe could perceive if it was an underdog that we want to stay. All about the audience perceptions, basically. So
nobody ever called the audience of this show consistent.
yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into our next part of this episode, which was very big, very controversial side of things, which was Maria voting for Kenzie over Charlie. So the whole season, Maria and Charlie were each other's number ones and besties throughout the whole season. And Maria even told Charlie when she was leaving, I'm voting for you. And she did not. She voted for Kenzie. And we've seen some interviews of her saying, and even in the finale, in the live reunion part of it, saying that she really saw like the fire in Kenzie's eyes when she started making fire and really wanted to vote for Kenzie for that reason, which interesting decision after you played a whole game with someone, now you're choosing fire making and their desire to make fire or their drive and just determination to make that fire is the reason why. Like, I don't really support that, but what are your thoughts on that decision, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, if that really was what made her choose Kenzie over Charlie, I think that's ridiculous. I hate that when fire making it makes such an impact. I mean, famously, we saw this on season 43 with Cassidy that everybody, so many jurors had an issue with the fact that she didn't put herself into fire making, and that was, seemingly the deciding factor in a lot of votes not going her way at the end. And I have a feeling that if that hadn't been a way that she could excuse not voting for Charlie, she would have figured out another way, another excuse for that. I don't know what it was. I can't really answer that for her. I think that maybe just she felt that she could kind of relate to Kenzie in a way that maybe she couldn't relate to Charlie in terms of how the money would affect Kenzie's life.
Mhm.
I look, I always say that there is no such thing as a bitter jury. I am fully a believer in that. I think that it is the final three's job to convince the jury and know the jurors well enough on a personal level to know what will impact each individual juror's vote and playing to that when answering their questions. And if they don't do a good job of that, then they don't deserve to have that juror's vote. Now, on the other side of that, I really felt for Charlie so much in that moment because that was one vote that he fully counted on. Maria said she was going to be Uncle Charlie to her kids and promised him her vote at the end, and nothing had happened since then, since she left, like what, 2 days before that? It wasn't like anything had happened since then, besides, I guess, the fire making, that would seemingly change that for her. So you could just tell at the after show how much Charlie was affected by that. And that is why, first of all, I hate the after show. At least give them one night to sleep before
Mhm.
this, because Charlie is a great example of this. He needed a little time to process before he could really be able to fully be present for that. And you want them to be present. You want them to be able to answer those questions to the best of their ability. And I don't think in that moment that was the best time to do that. But yeah, I really, really felt for Charlie. I thought he played an amazing game, but so did Kenzie. And I think that she's absolutely a deserving winner.
Yeah, no, I really felt bad, especially because it was one vote difference that was deciding that Kenzie was the winner. If not, then it would have been a tie with Charlie and Kenzie, which at that point we don't know who would have won necessarily.
Well, we
But
do.
what we did,
I
oh,
mean,
Ben, did Ben
if
say?
so, Ben would have been the deciding vote there.
Yeah.
And he has said in exit press that he would have voted for Charlie.
Okay,
So
I wasn't
now
sure if
in the
it was
moment,
confirmed.
obviously it could have been different. Hindsight's 2020. He could just be saying that now and wouldn't have been what he done. But as
Mhm.
far as we can tell, that is seemingly what would have happened. So that
Yeah.
really cannot make it any easier for Charlie to take that. But one more thing that I forgot to bring up here is that Maria and Charlie in their exit press the day after the finale had very different stories about their relationship now and about seemingly the reason for her vote changing. And Charlie said that Maria said that she regretted her vote and then changed her mind and all this stuff. And it made it really seem like they're not in a good place and that Charlie does not really want to maintain a friendship with her. Whereas Maria really kind of downplayed that and said, oh, we're fine, we're good. And so, who knows what's true, but it seems like they're on very different pages when it comes to that, at least publicly speaking.
Yeah, I don't think they probably had a discussion recently about what they were going to say to the
Well,
press.
Maria did tell him, and that was part of what apparently kind of made him decide that he didn't want to be maintain a friendship with her, is that she was kind of telling him, this is what I'm going to say, and he was basically like, this isn't true. So I think that was a lot of what he had an issue with, was that she was going to really downplay it in an effort to, I think, do some damage control and try to make it seem like they're all good so that fans will stop attacking her, thinking that, okay, well, if Charlie's okay with it, then I should be okay with it. And anyone who is attacking Maria, awful. Do not do that. Be better. This is a show. This is not worth any sort of personal attacks, calling her cell phone, calling her business. That's absolutely ridiculous. So please, please, please stop doing that for anyone who is. And hopefully nobody is. But apparently there are some people doing that who need to touch grass.
I know people get way, way over invested in some of these reactions or what's going on. Like, obviously, like, it's not ideal for Charlie. He didn't win the $1 million, but like, he's obviously living life and like, he seems to be okay. Like, it's not like you need to go and give Maria death threats for this decision that she made. Like, she's a real person, like, has real feelings. Like, she deserves grace in this as well. But
And Charlie has been great at
yeah.
trying to calm down the people who are doing that. And he has said multiple times, posted multiple times, like, do not do that. We're all good here. So I appreciate the fact that he was willing to step in there and hopefully calm that down.
Yes. Well, because Charlie did not win, Kenzie was the winner this season. So you already said that she was deserving. So I also believe that she was a deserving winner. I think that she played a really good game, having being friends with pretty much like everyone. I feel like she just got along with everyone on the season, and everyone just loved being around her. But then also just the fact that she made it to where she did, like obviously, is a testament to her gameplay and building the right alliances and having the right people on her side.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Kenzie's absolutely a deserving winner. I think where she probably had a little bit of an edge over Charlie was the fact that she had these personal relationships with everybody, and so did Charlie. But I think at the end with the final questioning, she was able to do a better job at leveraging those relationships and really answering the questions in a way that made everybody feel heard. Like it felt like she was fully in the moment answering their questions, and it wasn't just these answers she prepared beforehand. Where I think as Charlie had great answers and was very descriptive in being able to articulate why he made the decisions and what his moves were, and making everything sound very logical. He was just a little bit less personal. Like it felt like these were answers he had prepared beforehand. Whereas I think Kenzie was able to really kind of be in the moment, and people really appreciate when they feel like you are fully hearing them and answering and listening and answering their questions.
Yeah, I agree. And also, then post season, we've seen some interviews with some of the cast where we heard that about Liz not being a millionaire, and that was part of her strategy. That she was thinking that she could just get along throughout the season, like people wouldn't really think of her as a threat, and she didn't really need that money. But she's not actually a millionaire. So, what are your thoughts on that, Michael?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest blindside of the whole season, I think, because we were blindsided. Like we didn't even know as viewers, and I'm not sure whether she told production even, because if she had, then I would think that that would be knowledge that we would know as viewers that they didn't know out on the island. But because we just were not aware of that at all while watching, that makes me wonder whether they even knew that out there or whether she had kind of lied to everybody about it. But yeah, that was interesting. And I'm still not sure whether that was a good strategy for her or not. But hey, got her very, very close to the end. So more power to her.
Very true. I feel like the fact that she kept mentioning it though, now that I'm thinking about it, like honestly, like I don't know if a millionaire would want to like say that all the time, like like in the season. So now, like hindsight's 2020, obviously in this, that we're like, okay, maybe this wasn't as big of a blindside as we thought, but it is obviously like we were all shocked to hear that. But it was definitely an interesting strategy that she used and kind of worked. Well, also we also heard that the Sia Prize is no longer a thing where she would usually choose a few of her favorite players to give money to who were not among the winner of the season. And that was always nice to see whoever she chose to see, like, okay, yeah, she's giving back to some other people on the season. But what are your thoughts on that ending?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, look, I think it's really nice for people. I'm sure as a player, you really are pissed that that's coming to an end if you didn't win. And I, as a viewer, though, I don't know because I always feel like on Big Brother, the fact that there's this America's Player prize always makes me feel like there are certain people who aren't playing to win, but they're just playing to win America's favorite player. I don't always feel that way so much on Survivor, so it never bothered me that there was the Sia prize, or way back when they also had like Big Brother and America's favorite player prize. Um, so yeah, I didn't hate it, so I'm sad about it, I guess. But I'm just curious who would have won it this season. Mostly, I kind of wish that she had done it this year and then ended it after that, so that we would at least know who she was going to pick this season.
I know.
But yeah, I don't. I was thinking about it, who she was going to pick, and I don't know. I feel like maybe Charlie I could see just because of everything in the finale that happened. I feel like maybe Venus,
Mhm.
just as kind of like this strong female character. I feel like Sia might appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like
I don't
those two
know.
would definitely be contenders. Also, I feel like Tevin, just his personality. I feel like Sia also goes a lot with like people that she likes, and so that's like Tevin was
Hmm.
a very big personality, and he was always fun to watch. I feel like he got eliminated a little too early, in my opinion. Like I wanted to see him still throughout the season
Yeah,
more. So I think he could have been up for grabs in that
yeah,
prize as
for sure.
well. But we'll never know. So do you think they're gonna bring back like America's favorite player or like anything else to like give someone else a prize?
I don't know because I don't know whether it was Sia that decided that for it to come to an end, or whether it was the show that kind of. I don't know why they would tell her to stop doing it, but maybe they did because they have some plan to do some sort of official favorite player again. I don't know. But I guess we'll see if something does come in next season similar to it, like officially with the show. Then maybe that will explain why it came to an end with Sia. But we'll see. I have no idea.
Yes, we shall see.
She gave over
And
$1 million total throughout the seasons, which is nuts.
wow, that's a lot of money. Thank you, Sia. But now the season is over. What are your thoughts on this season overall?
I really, really liked it. I think that it's probably the last two seasons, I think 45 and 46 are probably my favorite two of the new era. So I think we're definitely on an upward trajectory with the new era, I would say. I think the first couple seasons were a little bit too, there was too much explanation, too many changes all at once. It felt like they went a little too far with it with the hourglass twist and everything. Then in 43, they kind of started to pull back a little bit. And I think now we've kind of come to where we've brought back a little bit of the drama, even though Jeff has said no more villains. I think that we definitely have brought back, at least, I don't know if there's villains, but we've brought back the drama of it and players who really don't like each other, which can kind of be fun. And I think we're right now in a pretty good place. So I really did enjoy it. The fact that we had tribals in a row with people going home with idols in their pockets and all blindsides was wild. So
Mhm.
I think overall pre-merge was a little rough, but post-merge made up for it and more.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the fact that people didn't play their idols was definitely a crazy part of the season. Like that would have been a game changer if those players did end up playing them, but obviously then they were blindsided, so they did not. But I always love seeing blindsides, even if it's like someone that I want to root for. That I'm like, okay, well at least they pull it off, so I got to give it to them. So that's also fun, and I agree with post merge. The season really picked up, and everything that happened. So obviously another great season in the books. And we also are looking forward to not next season, but we have a couple more seasons to this. But season 50 is going to be a returning players season, which we're so excited about. And especially now, we'll get to see some of these players maybe potentially from season 46 on season 50. So, are there any players in particular that you want to see?
I think Charlie's the big one for me from this season that I would love to see him play again because I think he did such a good job this season, but in a way that I don't feel like he'll come into season 50 as like one of the biggest threats. But
Mhm.
I think that he absolutely is going to be one of the biggest threats. So I really, really hope to see him again. And honestly, a little messy. I hope he's with Maria.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that. I really do want Charlie, and
Here for
I
the
think
drama.
yeah, it would be interesting if they also brought Maria back. But if they can only choose one, Charlie all the way. So,
Absolutely, yes.
yeah. But now let's get into the GOAT. So I just caught up on all the episodes, which are five out right now on Amazon Prime. And I know you had shared you really are enjoying this, and I also am really enjoying this show. I feel like the way that the structure is and the players or the cast members, or they call them the herd, because they're goats. It's funny. I like Tosh as the host, as you said. He's really, I like, had expectations of it because you kind of gave me a little bit of what to expect, but he exceeded that. Like I was like, wow, like
Mm.
he's really good as the host. Which also adds to the show, and I like all the people on it. So overall, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's just a fun vibe that the show has where it doesn't take itself too seriously
Mhm.
and it pokes fun at all of the players, but it also really celebrates the shows. And, each week is dedicated to a certain type of reality show. And I think just the fact that it's kind of like this big celebration of reality TV in general is such a fun idea. And I think that it does it really, really well.
Yeah. Definitely. And we're also seeing some strategy aspects in this show too, which is fun. It's not just like the competitions that you have to win or lose. Like there's obviously like people building alliances and people don't like each other. People like each other. There's some drama
Yeah.
in that, which also adds to it.
Right, it's not too hokey. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing, is it kind of straddles that line of being a little bit too cheesy, but it really doesn't cross it, I don't think. And maybe certain, jokes or whatever don't always land fully, but I think overall, it, especially for a season one, I think that it really has its tone and its vibe set. And I really think that it has a lot of potential to come back for more seasons, and I think it'll work for multiple seasons. It's some shows do really well season 1 and then it gets old really quickly, but I feel like this one won't do that. I think that it has a lot of longevity potential.
Yeah. Definitely. And in this most recent episode, we had a double elimination. And so we saw that Tech from The Challenge and Real World, as well as Justin, aka Alyssa Edwards from RuPaul's Drag Race, were eliminated. So, what are your thoughts on their elimination? Were you surprised?
Um, no, not by the end. I wasn't, I would say, but I did think going into the episode, I was a little worried that the women's alliance was just going to keep losing numbers, and I am glad that that did not happen. I'm glad that now after this episode, the numbers are a little more even. So, Wendell's all guy alliance isn't just going to steamroll this game. But yeah, I mean, Tech didn't really have a huge impact on the season. I feel like he was kind of a little more behind the scenes, so I wasn't too sad to see him go. But Justin brought a lot of drama. So I was a little bit sad. I feel like he was such a big part of the show so far. And now that he's gone, I feel like that will definitely, there will be a void left without him being there.
I agree. I almost forgot who Tech was. I
Yeah.
saw him on the show, but then I like didn't realize it. And so when he was getting so much more airtime, I kind of had a feeling that he was gonna let go that episode because like I
Hmm.
was like, well, they're not showing him till now. Like maybe this is the reason why. Like they want us to just know who he is before he goes.
Yeah, Top Chef was always very, very famous for that back in the day, where every time when someone got a phone call from home or they had a little scene with their backstory, they were immediately cut that episode. And you always knew it was going to happen whenever somebody got that scene. And obviously, as people caught on, they stopped doing that. But it is funny when that does happen. You kind of know, okay, they wanted to give them just a little backstory before they left. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that, yeah.
because of that competition, like people thought he was throwing it. Like there was just some like drama around that too. So people he kind of had a
Hmm.
feeling like he was talking about how he expected that to probably be the way he was going to leave. So
Yeah.
it ended up being him. And I feel like also with Justin, I was a little bit surprised though because I really did think that like I thought like he had close friends in the house that are going to keep him safe. And obviously like it was fun watching him. Like I think he would brought so much drama, as you said, and entertainment to this season. So it will be sad to not see him on this next episodes. But overall, like I'm glad it wasn't a girl, like you said. Like I didn't want it to keep getting smaller and smaller on the girl side. So
Mhm.
we'll have to just see what happens in next week's. But overall, do you think that the non-gamer reality stars, like in this format, like works well? Or, like, what are you thinking in terms of? I feel like sometimes like they feel like they're more the emotional side of things, and they don't want to backstab anyone or try to share everything. Like we saw with Tasha, like she was like, I just want to make everyone happy. And that's not how you win a game like this. So do you think that they take it too personally, or what are your thoughts on them being in this kind of game show format?
Yeah, I think that this is a really interesting conversation because we saw it a lot on traders this last season as well,
Mhm.
where the quote unquote non gamers, and this was kind of a term that they coined on the traders last season,
Yeah.
they were very, took things very, very personally. I mean, we saw it with MJ in the finale of Traders, where she was still at the reunion months later, so pissed at Trishelle and CT for taking her out before they got to split the money at the end. And you saw it, I mean, with Phaedra, with Dan and Parvati, that she took it when they betrayed her. She took it so personally. And I just feel like that is something that we're seeing lately a lot of these types of shows. I mean, House of Villains and now The Goat and The Traders. There's a lot of these kind of mixed reality personalities from all different sides of the reality spectrum, and some of those are gaming shows like Big Brother and Survivor. Some of them are housewives and other types of shows. And I think that it does. I think it's fun now to see them all mixed together. But I do think that if this is just kind of this continuing pattern of, okay, we're going to have, these people who are really strategic and have done this a million times before, put in a house with all these people who have never been on this type of show before. I do wonder if that's kind of always going to be the dynamic. And if that's the case, then I think it will in a couple years start to get pretty old and very predictable. So I don't know. But right now it's fun. I'll just say that it's fun to see all these people from different shows that we all watch, all of these types of shows, and it's fun to see that them all come together and people you never thought you'd see interact. But I do wonder how long that can go without it becoming pretty predictable.
Yeah, I agree. I think, or maybe they have to cast people who are on those non-gamer shows that want to be gaming, like like they want more of that
Hmm.
competition feel and like that, like just more gaming aspect of it. I don't know how else to word it. Like more the strategy and not having to like think too personally about every decision. So
Well, and I wonder if that will start to change as the people from these other universes maybe start to watch shows like this because their friends are on it. and they know that it's a possibility that they will come on. Like, all of these housewives, I feel like in interviews that they had during the Trader season, all of them were like, "Are you watching Traders? Are you like?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they didn't watch season one because there were maybe only like one or two people from,
Mhm.
because it was half non-reality stars, so there weren't that many Bravo people or dating show people. But last season there were so many that I think it was just such a part of the conversation that I wonder if, like, season three of Traders, whether the non-gamers will be come in more prepared. So I think that maybe as the time goes on, that they will start to understand these types of games more than they do right now in the seasons that we're watching.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I agree with that. I think that definitely will have a factor in it. So
Hmm.
fingers crossed because I like seeing people from all different types of shows.
Yeah, me too.
But do you have any predictions for the rest of the season? What are your thoughts on who you think has the best shot at winning?
I think so. I think Davon is the biggest. Like, I mean, she's gaming in there. She is gaming. So I think that I could see her making it far, but I don't know. I don't know what the ending format is. So that will really determine things because I don't know whether there's a jury. I just don't, I don't think they've explained it yet. So I think if there's a jury, Davon can't win because she's just pissed off too many people. So I think I see her kind of making it far, but I don't think I see her winning. Um, Gosh, I don't know. I think maybe um, I don't know. What do you think? Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to think about it too. I feel like honestly, CJ is like low key
Mm-hmm.
a smart player that I think she has a shot at winning. But I don't know because I think Devon is too much of a threat right now that like people don't want her to win it. Like she could make it far but not make it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe it's one of the guys.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
think.
Joe.
Yeah, but I don't think Joe's gonna
I
win.
don't think so either. Or
I
maybe
was thinking
Wendell.
Wendell. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wendell has a shot.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think I would say Wendell right now for me because I feel like he is gaming and I feel like people respect his gaming too. Like, I don't think he's going too hard. And so I feel like he hasn't pissed off too many people yet. Where I feel like if he made it to the end and it was a jury, I don't think people would be as bitter at him as they would be at Davon. Or better at CJ, the girls. I don't know that the girls would vote for CJ at the end because she kind of betrayed them. And so if they're taking things personally, I could see them not respecting her game in that way. So we saw Kristen's exit.
Oh yeah,
So
I
if
kind of
more
miss
people are feeling
Kristen on
like,
the show now.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I didn't expect to see her here. Also watching the Valley.
yeah. This was filmed right before the Valley
Yeah.
for timing's sake. But yeah, I think Rendell's my pick right now.
Okay. Well, that's our pick. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so
But
let's
that's
move
all.
on to the Bravo breakdown. So, a little quick news story here before we get into Summer House. So, the Real Houses of Beverly Hills season 14 full cast was just announced. Returning from last season are Kyle, Erica, Dorit, Garcelle, and Sutton. And then we have a newbie, full time Bazoma, or Boz, it looks like she goes by, St. John, who was an executive at a bunch of companies like Apple, Pepsi, Netflix, Uber. She has a long resume. So I'm excited to see her. I feel like that's kind of a different professional vibe that because we see a lot of people in Beverly Hills that are in the TV industry and actresses, but I don't know that we've seen someone who really is an executive at that level. So I think that'll be really, really interesting to see someone like her. And we have the return of Kathy Hilton as a friend of. She took last season off, but she is back. And then we also have Jennifer Tilly joining as a friend of, who is one of Sutton's best friends. So I think that's really exciting because Sutton, the last couple newbies have really gone after Sutton. So I'm excited for her to have a real friend who's not Garcelle, like a close friend joining the show full time. And we've seen Jennifer Tilly quite a bit over the last couple seasons, and she always seems like a really interesting, fun character. So I'm excited to see more of her. So they just started filming within the last couple weeks. Probably, I would think that this will probably premiere sometime around January. So we have a little bit, but I like this new thing they're doing with officially revealing the casts when they start filming, so that the speculation and all the secretive photos and people filming, maybe that'll kind of lessen that a little bit, and we won't maybe get so many storylines spoiled beforehand because of that. So I think that that's a smart move on their part to start handling it in that way. But let's get into Summer House. So, episode 14, the penultimate episode before the reunions. We started the episode at Danielle's official reveal of her app that I kind of forgot was happening because we haven't heard too much about it this season. But it is officially called Dawn, I guess it's pronounced. I believe Dawn, Donne. And it is a fashion app that is supposed to help you pick out your wardrobes based on all the items in your closet. So, Molly, is this something that you think you would use?
I probably would not use it. I actually, it's funny because they were talking about it too. I was like, there's like a similar app to this already that Danielle's like,
Oh.
no, like this is mine, like it's better. And I don't use that. I forget the name of it to be honest, but so I don't think like I feel like I just when I go in my closet to look what I want to wear, like I don't need an app to necessarily help me with that. But I think it is a good concept for people who have like more high end clothing or like have a lot of different styles they want to go for and like want to just pick a good outfit. Like it's a decent idea, but I don't think I would be using
Yeah. Alrighty.
it.
Well, good luck to Danielle. I'm curious. I don't know whether this app is actually out now. I think it is. So I wonder how it's doing, what the reviews are like. But I'm sure that we will hear more about that at the reunion. I'm sure she will be asked about that, and we'll get an update on the app.
Yes.
So let's get into now with the rest of the episode. We saw Jesse. He got his results, and thankfully, he is cancer free. So that was a big relief. That was huge. And I really commend him for putting that on camera. I think that is such a scary moment. And the fact that he had to call them to get the results was kind of crazy to hear.
I know.
But I'm glad that he obviously everything was all good with him. And then we saw him make a big speech at a dinner with the rest of the cast, and he had a song that he came out with. What would Jesse Solomon do? And he had lines with every cast member, and it was really funny, really sweet moment. And West and Jesse both, I feel like worked so well as newbies this season. Why do you think that is? 'Cause I feel like Summer House in the past few years has had trouble casting guys that stuck and really had personalities other than just trying to date someone. What do you think it is about both of them that worked so well this season?
Well, this actually, well, since it is my first season, I haven't seen the past
Yeah,
seasons of
yeah, yeah.
having the cast new members come in and like see that dynamic. But I really have enjoyed for this season, my first season, watching it, like feeling like, oh, this isn't even like they don't feel new. Like in my opinion, like I'm
Mhm.
like if because I'm new into the show myself, like if they didn't say that they were new to the season, like I wouldn't have expected them to be completely new to the show, which I feel like just adds like it made it more organic for the show overall. Like they just get along so well with each other that I think that has a big factor into it. Like I think they just all are actually friends. Like they're hanging out not just when they're filming. I think that probably has a factor into it. I don't know if like the other people who came in the past, like if they actually wanted to hang out outside of the weekends kind of stuff. Like we know that like Wes and Sierra were still seeing each other. Like Jesse is friends with Carl. Like like they're all still friends with each other. That like is kind of nice to see that. I think that probably had a big impact on that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fact that they came in together too was a big thing because they were able to kind of lean on each other. They have a fun dynamic with each other. And I think that always really helps because it feels like they're kind of like Kyle and Carl 2.0 in a way. And I think that really helps to see their fun sides with each other. And I think that's similar to when Hannah and Paige came on season 3 together and they had such a close relationship. And they were, because of that, such a successful pair on the show, and now they have Giggly Squad, and they've been able to kind of like market themselves in a way like as a pair. And I think that West and Jesse really, when I think of them together. And I wonder if individually, if they had come in, I feel like West would have been. 'Cause I think he's such a unique, interesting personality. But I wonder if Jesse had come in without West. I don't know if he would have necessarily had such a positive reception and fit in so well. I mean, obviously he has his story, which is incredible, and I think that that by itself, really makes you feel for him. But being able to see his fun side with West, I think really helped to kind of create a full person. So I think they've been so good. I'm so glad the Summer House finally got it right with the guys, so we can have more even numbers because last season was very outnumbered with the girls and guys. So I think this season, yeah, just firing on all cylinders so far. Well, so far it's almost over. But, um, we ended the episode though with Lindsay and Carl having yet another fight, and it seems like this is probably the last fight that we're going to see of them before the official breakup in the finale next week. So, what did you think of this fight overall?
Yeah. Well, I feel like since we already know what's coming, like it's like we're already like in that mindset of like, yes, they're breaking up. But this fight itself, like, definitely is a reason to break up. I think like what they were saying, like what Lindsay's saying about herself, that she's like not gonna be that kind of person and Carl wants that kind of person. Like obviously, like this has been a problem in their relationship that she just wants to ask him questions or like certain things, and Carl's like, why are you asking me questions? Like he doesn't want that out of her, which I really felt for Carl, or I really felt for Lindsay in this side of it, this fight. Like I I feel like what Lindsay was asking him were very valid questions for her to be questioning him on, and like in a career, like you want to have those certain questions like answered in a way that like you know what's going to happen in the contract or whatever is going on. And Carl's like, I just want you to be there and like what I'm doing and not ask me what I'm supposed to like, all these nitty gritties of what's going on, and like feeling like it's an interrogation, which obviously like that's not a great feeling either. Like I've also been on that side of things sometimes where I've been like, someone's asking me a question and I'm like, I don't want to answer this right now, but like it usually comes from a place of like, because I didn't know the answer and I didn't want to have to
Hmm.
talk about it because I didn't want to look bad about that certain thing that they're trying to ask me about. So I think that Carl was just trying to like save himself there in a way, and like then put it back on Lindsay and be like, no, you need to be nicer to me. And like, but like she's doing the best she can and like trying to support him. And he's just not taking it that way. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely 100% right on that. And I think it's one thing for him to say, "Hey, I don't have the answer right now. Like, back off a little bit, give me a little bit of time. I know that you're coming from a good place, but just give me a little bit of time to figure this out." And I think Lindsay actually would have understood that and probably backed off. But the fact that he is then trying to spin it on her and making her look crazy for caring about these things when it affects both of them very, very clearly, whether he has a job or not, or what his job is, or whether he's happy at his job, and whether him going back to this is healthy for him. Like, I think that these are all very, very valid questions, like you said. And I think for him to just, his first instinct when he feels uncomfortable and not having the answers is to basically gaslight her and make her feel like she's crazy for caring about them. I think that says a lot about a person and whether this is the right relationship for them, because they just clearly need something different than what each other is able to give them. And you shouldn't feel like you have to change somebody or change yourself in order to be in a relationship with them. So I think after, seeing all of this season, I am very glad that they did not get married, because I can't imagine them watching this back married and seeing all of this. I can't even imagine that. So I am very glad that this ended not how it did, but probably when it did, because it shouldn't have even gotten this far.
Definitely.
So, what are you looking forward to watching this coming week? We have a lot of fun shows coming up. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to Summer House finale. As we were just talking about, the breakup is coming. So that's going to be some drama. So I'm really looking forward to that. What about you?
I am also looking forward to that, but also the part three of the Vanderpump Rules reunion is coming up in just a couple days here. So that should be really exciting because we will see them react to the very last 10 minutes of the finale, and I think that will change a lot of relationships. So I think we have a big week coming up, I will say, and we will be covering it all next week when we chat with you then. So thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Let's Chat Reality, and subscribe on YouTube for full video episodes so you can see our beautiful faces as you are listening. So we will chat with you guys next week. Bye, everyone.